Thanks, Brian, for sharing your insight into sales, specifically tips on how to create a high performance team within sales. As Brian had mentioned, I'm Trent Landis, and I'm going to provide some tips on how to create a high performing team within operations. First, I think it's important to state that operations is not only here to provide excellent customer service to its external customers, but it's here to provide that same level of service to its internal customers, such as marketing, sales, pricing, etc. So, what are some tips on how to create a high performing team within operations, a team that you manage? Firstly, high productivity is of the utmost importance. Therefore, you creating productivity standards that fall in line with the company's mission and vision, in addition to meeting or exceeding customers' expectations, is vital. Not only creating those standards, but communicating those standards to your employees immediately, and measuring how each one of your employees is producing in comparison to the standard that you have set forth. That communication can be in the form of a one-on-one, which should be held on a consistent and frequent basis. Just as with productivity, quality should be handled the same manner. Developing the standards, communicating the standards to your employees, and following up with each one of your employees on a consistent and frequent basis to ensure they are aware of where they fall as to whether or not they meet, exceed, or are, if they're not meeting expectations with regard to quality. As I've mentioned a couple of times now, communication is imperative. Whether it's in the one-on-one setting with your employees, which again should be done consistently and frequently, or if it's in a group setting, such as a bi-weekly or monthly staff meeting, wherein you can provide updates on the organization's efforts that are taking place, certain goals that the organization has set forth, how the team is performing as a whole, any issues or foreseeable items that are coming up in the near future, etc. Again, that type of communication is vital, and it's also important that your employees are aware that that open line of communication is there, to where they feel that they're being provided with all the information that they need to perform at their best, in addition to them also knowing that they can come to you with any issues they may have, whether it's a personal issue, or if it's a conflict that they may be having with another employee within your work team. For instance, if they're having a conflict with another employee, they need to feel comfortable enough to come to you with that information, so you may address it right away, as to not let it perpetuate and escalate into something that's going to impact the whole team and the performance of the team as a whole as well. You may have certain projects that you present to the team in the future. In that type of group setting, you have a team that is working consistently day in and day out with one another. They may succumb to groupthink. If that's the case, one way to thwart that type of activity is to give each one of the employees a card and conduct a brainstorming session. So an example would be if you're trying to enhance productivity for the area, you communicate that's what the project pertains to, and you want to gather ideas from each one of the associates on how to do that. You can convey to them that their ideas will remain anonymous and that they are to submit them to you after they finish. After that, you can read them off and come to a group consensus as to what the best idea or ideas are in an effort to enhance productivity. Again, that's just one example. Another item that sometimes hinders the performance of the work group would be socializing amongst one another. A way to thwart that type of activity is to maintain a constant presence in the area, letting the team know that you're there, etc. So hopefully these tips will provide you with some insight as to how to create a high-performing work team within operations. The tips that I provided are at a very high level and can vary greatly depending on what type of issue or topic that you've been presented with in operations. I thank you for taking the time to view Brian's presentation as well as mine. Again, Brian capturing the information from the sales perspective and me capturing the information from an operational perspective. Thanks.